Adam Trigger here, wagertalk.com. It's week 3 in the NFL, and we're here to talk Texans, Jaguars. But before that, please like and subscribe to our channel here so we can keep bringing you free picks all season long. I'm off to a great start in the NFL. I'm 10-5 so far in this NFL season, but 2 of my losses have been on the Texans. I had the Texans in week 1, lost to the Ravens, and didn't cover despite the fact that they played pretty good game and it was a 7-6 game at half. I lost with the Texans in week 2 in a game where they just didn't show up against the Colts. Completely dominated. And actually, the stats really don't tell the story in that game because the Texans ended up outgaining them, and a lot of that was done in garbage time. With that being said, I'm still looking at the Texans or nothing in this game here in week 3. The number's already up to 9.5, and there is a scenario where if this gets any higher, I might have to jump in and back the Texans. I would say 10 or better is where I start to look at the Texans here. So I've got my concerns, of course. The Texans, I thought that was a great matchup for them last week with the Colts. I expected their defense to, give the Colts fits, and that wasn't the case. Anthony Richardson, before he got hurt, had it going, and then Gardner Minshew came in and, guided the Colts right to victory with little resistance in doing so. So that's a concern here. Of course, Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars offense, if they're allowed to sort of get going and Lawrence has all day, he could put some points up here, and that can make it difficult for the Texans. With that being said, though, I still think that a weakness of the Jaguars is their offensive line. And this is supposed to be a strength of this Texans team. They went out and drafted defense. They improved what was already a pretty good defense in the offseason. And if you go back to week 1, they looked really good against the Ravens. So for them to kind of come out flat last week tells me, kind of tells me that maybe they're not great in the favorite role. Remember, they flipped to a favorite last week. I think they went into that game expecting to beat the Colts and just didn't bring the same effort, sort of needed to win an NFL football game. Back in the underdog role, I think I think we see a little bit of a bounce back effort for them here. And the other thing I did like from the Texans last week is even though it was in sort of meaningless football at the end of the game, they started to get it going offensively. We finally started to see CJ Stroud play a little bit of football and throw the ball downfield. And that's a way that they can hang around against the Jaguars that can be beat through the air, that have question marks in their secondary. Now, if the Jaguars are out in front here, that's at least encouraging that the Texans were able to sort of battle back against the Colts. Remember, the number I'm looking for here would be 10 or 10.5. And if it gets that high, there's a really good chance that the back door is open for a late score and a Texans cover. I still don't fully trust the Jaguars. I think that they're right up there with the most overvalued teams in the league. And with the way that the betting public has bet the Jaguars this year, this is already up to 9.5 when we're recording this. And I wouldn't be surprised if this did hit 10 at some point. So if this does get up to 10, I think from a numbers perspective, you have to start looking at the Texans. And I wouldn't just totally write off the Texans based on their performance from last week. If you go back to week 1, they really did play a good game against the Ravens that was a lot closer than that 25-9 final score would indicate. And they showed last week that they can get it going offensively, especially if the opposing team's defense lets up a little bit, which I could totally see the Jaguars doing if they get out to a big lead. So I like the Texans plus the points here. I do think there's sort of multiple routes to them covering this game. And if they really come to play, I wouldn't be that surprised if they push the Jaguars, who I still think are just not that upper echelon team that they've been treated as by the odds makers. So Texans plus 9.5 will be the lean for right now, but check back on my Twitter page at TopFlightSI, because if this gets to 10 or 10.5, I might jump in with a client play and I will post it for free on my Twitter page. For more of my picks, head on over to wagertalk.com and use promo code ADAM3 for 3 days of all access. Like I said, 10-5 start to the NFL season. And you use it on Friday or Saturday, you get all of the NFL picks for the week. So Adam3, and also if you like the content, check out the other videos on your screen for more free picks.